Hello everybody, this is going to be fun. Just found a list the other night on the internet, or a video actually on YouTube, entitled 10 questions that Christians cannot answer, or can answer, whatever you want to say. And so I thought that sounded like a fun thing to at least check out. So I checked it out and found out, well, these questions aren't even that hard and don't really even make sense for making a point against Christianity, but I figured I'd make a video on how to disprove them and everything anyway, so hope you enjoy this. Okay, here's question number 1. When the Ark landed, how did the kangaroos make it back to Australia? Okay, well, if you look on the map between Alaska and Russia, right across the channel there, then you'll notice that they're very close together, as is Australia to whatever mainland it's near that I forgot the name of. Now, the theory of most creation scientists, is that right after the flood there was an ice age, like a small ice age, and evidence of this can be found like up in the Antarctic. I think it was, they found fish that were literally frozen solid near the bottom, or not near the bottom, like in the middle between the bottom and the top of the water. So if the fish is swimming along right here and it starts freezing down here, fish is going to swim up to get away from the ice coming, because ice freezes and falls down and continues to pile up until it gets up here. So the fish would, by instinct, swim up to get away from it. But they found it right here in the middle, like it had frozen instantly. They also found frozen mastodons that looked like they were swimming whenever they got frozen, which is all evidence that would allude to a short ice age. And also the Bible talks about more snow and ice in just after the flood than it does at any other time in the Bible. So I would say that the way that the kangaroos made it back to Australia, even though they didn't come from Australia to start out with, is that they crossed land bridges created by ice right after the flood. So that's what I have to say about the first question. Question number 2. If the ark was covered in pitch or tar to make it watertight, it also made it airtight. How did the animals live for even 2 or 3 days in complete darkness without fresh air? Remember, the rain lasted for 40 days and nights. Noah couldn't open the window on the top. So my answer to this is, do you think God would not have thought of that? I mean, I know that Noah was only supposed to build one window, but that doesn't say anything about ventilation. God would not say, hey, build a boat that will probably suffocate you all, but yeah, build a boat anyway and put all these animals on it, and then you have their feces everywhere, and you have all these animals trying to breathe down there, but God doesn't care about ventilation. He's just going to tell you to build a boat with one window in the top that's closed the whole time, and then stay in there for 40 days. That's ridiculous. God told Noah how to build an ark that would work for the purpose that he told him to design it for. Just because the Bible says he was supposed to build one window doesn't mean he didn't add other ventilation holes of some sort. A lot of creation scientists, think that there was a moon pool, which is like a hole in the middle of the floor where the water would go up. It was not like a place where it would sink the boat, though. It would have a shaft going up to counterbalance the water coming up, so it didn't sink the boat. But anyway, that's beside the point. God would have told him a way to ventilate it, so that the animals would not all suffocate and die, or we would not all be here. So that's my explanation for that question. Question number 3. If Adam and Eve didn't know right from wrong before eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, why did God punish them for doing something that they did not know was wrong to do? Okay, so this question and the next one kind of run together, so I'll read the number 4 also. Why would God put a forbidden tree so close to his creation in the garden and allow Satan to tempt them into eating it, watching the whole time, but doing nothing to keep them from doing it? Okay, so the reason that God punished Adam and Eve for doing something that they supposedly didn't know anything that was wrong, and why he watched the whole time, is because we have something called free will, which is basically being able to do what we want. God did not create a bunch of robots that were here to just worship him. He gave us, because it's a lot better to have people that like you because they want to, instead of because you're making them. That's called a dictator. God is not a dictator. God created people that could either choose to worship him or whatever. They could choose to do whatever they want. They can choose to do what he says or what they want to do. In this case, God put them in a garden, the best place on earth according to the Bible, put them in this wonderful place, walked with them all the time. He was with them. He walked with them every day, it said. So they could see that he was real. But he just told them this one little thing. Do not eat from this tree. It's called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And you would think that these people, having free will, would say, well, my Creator must know what's best for me because look at all the stuff he did for me. But instead, Eve and Adam apparently listened, instead of listening to their Creator, they listened to a talking snake. And people expect that God is not going to do... Okay, God does not lie. Let's just start out right there. But people expect that God is going to go back on his word and not do something about how they disobeyed him when they listened to a talking snake. It's a snake, for Pete's sake. I mean, anyway. So yeah, that's my answer to those two questions, is the reason that God did this is because he gave them free will. He gave them a consequence. They had to know that not following their Creator that they could see that was right there would have consequences. So anyway, on to the next question. Question number 5. When the women went to Jesus' empty tomb, was the stone already rolled away? Or did an angel roll it away after they got there? Okay, so this question is, he's trying to, or this guy does this a lot, he tries to make you think that the Bible is contradicting itself because Matthew says that the angel of God came down, rolled the stone away whenever they got there, and then he sat on it and talked to him some. Now the rest of the Gospels say that it was open when they got there. Or it was open when they got there. Now he would say that, well, see there, that means that the Bible contradicts itself. Well, no, it doesn't. Now see, the same thing happens whenever, several people have said this, but that doesn't matter, it's true anyway. Whenever there's a murder or something and there's several witnesses to it, there will be, or you could ask each person about the same story and they'll each have a different version about it. And the Bible, or these books of the Bible, were written a few years after it happened. which means they wouldn't have all remembered it clearly, especially since they weren't all together at the same time when they were all reading or writing the books of the Bible. If all of the books of the Bible that talked about when Jesus was on earth were exactly the same, you'd only need one of the books. He put all four of them in there so you could see, or God put all four of the books in the Bible so that you could see all the different perspectives on what happened. But what happens here is Matthew remembers more detail on all of what happened than the rest of the guys do. Well, the rest of the guys might have remembered it, but they didn't put it in there. Matthew put in the birth of Jesus, but some of the other Gospels don't. Does that mean it didn't happen? Or it's contradicting itself because one of them don't mention it and the other one do? Or Matthew said that the dead were raised in the tombs near Jerusalem whenever Jesus rose from the dead, and they walked into town, but none of the other books mention that. Does that mean it didn't happen? Of course not. It means they didn't put it in there because they didn't remember it completely like he did. And that is my answer to that question. Question number 6. On the first day of the week when Jesus rose from the dead, how many women went to the tomb, and which ones? Now this is the same thing, you're just trying to point out differences between the stories in the different books. Matthew says Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to the tomb early in the morning. Mark says Mary and Mary, the mother of someone. It just goes in more detail. The next one just says they came. The next one says Mary came. What's so different about that? Well, this guy would have you think that, well, the Bible's wrong because they didn't say the same things. In actuality, what they did is they each had different levels of detail. One guy said they, which is grouping people together, or grouping both of them together. One guy said Mary Magdalene, he included her last name, the other one, and he said the other Mary. And one guy just said Mary. All the books of the Bible agree with each other, but the people who wrote the books did not remember it all exactly the same. That's just how it is, and that's my explanation for that question. Question number 7. If you believe that the creation story in Genesis is just an allegory or figurative, why don't you just throw out Paul's epistles, or his books, the books that Paul wrote, because he believed that the creation account was a true account? Okay, this question is interesting because it's a true question. It may be asked by an atheist because he believes that all Christians think that the creation story is an allegory, which I don't, and I know most of the people I know don't think it's an allegory. If anyone did believe that the creation story was just an allegory, I'd ask them the same exact question. So, the question is right, or he's right in asking this question if he's asking it to the right people. Question number 8. How many donkeys did Jesus ride on in his triumphant entry into Jerusalem? Was it 1, like Mark, Luke, and John say, or was it 2 donkeys, like Matthew said? Okay, once again, Matthew goes into a lot more detail than the other three Gospels do. Now, as I've already stated for the other 2 questions, they do not all remember it the same. Just because the other 3 say that it was 1 donkey and he says it was 4 does not mean that they are contradicting each other. He just had more details in it. They at least got the one that he was writing, and he had a colt along with it, which was a younger one. You can't write a younger one because it's younger. So I think there was 2 of them. He rode the bigger one, and the other one was along with him. And the rest of the books didn't seem to mention it because they just didn't remember that detail or something like that, but that's my answer to that question. Okay, question number 9. Matthew and Luke both tell the genealogies for Jesus going all the way back to Adam. Using both of those lists, who was the father of Joseph? Okay, so this is actually kind of interesting. I looked up, or I had to study some on this question here, but I found out that one book, I don't know why it's flashing like that, if you can see that, but one book tells how one book tells the genealogy of Jesus through Joseph and his descendants, or not descendants, but people who came before him. And the other book tells the genealogy, or Luke tells the genealogy of Jesus through Mary. So, in actuality, they do not contradict, like this guy would have you believe, but they, in fact, tell both sides of his family tree. So, that's the explanation for that, which I thought was kind of neat. Question number 10. Was Jesus crucified on the first day of Passover like John says, or the next day like the other 3 say? Okay, so this one is really simple to figure out. The reason why they say that, or the reason why this guy is saying that Jesus was crucified on different days is because some of the Gospels say that he was crucified at the 3rd hour. Some of them say the 6th hour. And they're different, or that would put it at different days, but in actuality, they're the writers of the different Gospels are using different ways of measuring the time, which means they don't measure up correctly because they are not the same time. And that is the explanation that I have for that question. So that's all I have for this video, and hope you have enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. Planning on doing several more of these because it's a lot of fun, and I'm sure you guys can learn from it too, and I'm learning from it also. But like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos that I'm going to be coming out with pretty soon. And I'm going to try and be uploading these more often though. But yeah, so hope you liked it. Look forward to more videos coming from the Lord's Patriots. Also, feel free to send in your own questions. Put them in the comments. Send them to me on Facebook. I don't care. And I'll do my best to answer them. Because I don't think there's any question that Christianity can't answer, because God created everything. Why wouldn't He give us the answer to it? So, if you have any questions, put them down there. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to more of them.